Get a pack of Phillies.
You speak English, bitch?
Watch your mouth.
The fuck you say? How the fuck that feel?
Familiar.
This is my home. These streets raised me.
Might get a little crazy out there today.
Media outlets from around the world await a verdict in the Rodney King beating.
Maybe I can bring the sun back up here.
All right, run it for me. Catalytic converters.
They need platinum. How much they got in there?
10 million.
You need a miracle to pull this off.
The jury in the Rodney King trial.
A stunning verdict.
The 4 police officers were found not guilty.
You watching the news?
No one minding the store.
This is our window.
You know what scares me? I don't want you to grow up to be like me. It's wild out there to be more safe here.
You're at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Can't control us. You don't own us.
Where's my son?
This is not gonna end well for you.
It's not going well for you.
Watch me as I
I'm gonna obliterate your whole fucking family.
Give me my son.
And if I don't,
Then we got a problem, homie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Heather Hurt with the NRW, where nerds rule the world, and I am here today with Ariel Vromen, the director, screenwriter, and producer for 1992, which premieres in theaters on August 30th. How are you today, sir?
I'm great. A little bit of reality check today, all those interviews. No, because I realized, like, being a director, the main outlet that want to talk to you has some kind of like a nerd in its title. So it's mean like a director that I thought once used to be a cool occupation, definitely now is dominated by nerd interest, which is amazing because finally people really paying attention. I guess the nerds are the last cinema lovers.
True. We love it the most. We love it the most. We are getting closer and closer to that August 30th date. How are you feeling about the film?
You know, it's been such a long journey, so it's you know, it's one of those things that you gotta, I guess, exercise as big things or big date is about to come. And for me, it's I'm trying to, as much as I can, you know, treat it as just another day, but a day that, you know, that obviously I have so much, you know, work thrown into it, but I don't want to expect anything, you know what I mean? I literally want to come with a clean emotion about it. So I'm just gonna let, you know, the world decide eventually, and then if it's successful and people really relate to it and enjoying it, and it's a movie that's discover as we go, and the word of mouth is good and everything, then of course I'm going to be happy and rewarded. But I'm ready to take any scenario, and just knowing that it's an exciting day that we try to do the best for it.
Absolutely. You know, it being Ray Liotta's final film, I think a lot of people are definitely going to be excited to see it. So let's talk about the film itself. How did the idea come to you, and why put it in 1992 during the Rodney King trials?
Well, first of all, it was an original idea by Sacha Pan that wanted to create a heist film that happened on that day. So the conception that Sacha had, and that we went deeper in the script with, how do you make those two worlds, you know, blend into each other, and eventually using one world that is a more fictional world as a metaphor to the same world that was next to you. which was real. And then how can we go into a journey with characters that we have to go through the entire ride of 92, and then eventually have the audience, getting some sort of like an emotional arc, or somehow a connectivity, or somehow even a question or reflection of what they would do, how they will be in that situation. So I think, the whole movie is kind of like painted into one story that you want that no matter which side of the story we are, if it's the true story, the day of April 29, 1992, that left so much trauma into a city and into the people that lived through those times, and then on the same time have a completely fictional story that is metaphored between colliding two families within that confined space that also had an eruption, and a storytelling within what I'm going to do in order to survive it, or how can I even last, into this entire situation that I'm stuck in. So that was kind of like the challenge. And, in the back of my mind, I always remember that, you cannot teach, you cannot preach, you got to entertain. So I love the idea that we have actually like, a metaphoric story that will not necessarily force me to do a pure dramatic biopic on that day.
And you can really see some of those. If you look up the movie, like the number one thing that you see is the movie a true? And then you see Mercer get, pulled over by the cops, and you feel these moments of true reality, and you're like, oh my goodness, it was absolutely wonderful to see. In the storytelling, you use a lot of practical effects, from the streets to the warehouse. There's a lot of practicality. Do you prefer practical work, practical action when you're directing?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're reaching to a time that AI is gonna, replace a lot of those practicals sooner enough, what I mean, that you can actually be blended into world. But there's something of the physical world that even, years of CGI and special effects, process into filmmaking, brought our eye into train. Like if you're going to watch older movie with CGI, you're going to be like, oh my God, that looks shit. But I remember when I watched it, it looked real. So it's just how our eye is going to eventually train to accept certain things. But when you're actually shooting practically in the locations, and you're actually using those as much as old car that you can get into the frame, and worry about the decision of every extra color palette of clothing. So you kind of like bringing that there. Eventually what it does, it just give a comfort, a subconscious comfort to the audience when they're watching it, to accept that, that the filmmakers, brought, even in a non-fictional story, like, they brought as authentic experience. So we're not going to have to now be, into the hands of designers and special effects guys that could have to recreate this entire riots with duplicated crowds, with green screens, shoots that could eventually look something that is close to what the real location is, but we never give you that specific authentic. So, then you blend it into enough balance that you think that the magic eventually is going to work.
And it looked great in this one. Speaking of, the clothes and the cars, how much research? 1992 feels like for many people a lifetime ago, but it really was not that long ago. What type of research did you have to do to get into the mindset, to get into the characters?
Well, first of all, I lived that period. I was in my how old I was in 1992. I was like 20. No, not even. I was 19. But it's still, you remember you lived through the 90s. So that's one thing that it's in you as a storyteller. So you have like a little bit of, a tone and feeling about a certain period you're making. And then, I just read the script during, just after the George Floyd riot. So it's like, I could smell the burning Los Angeles, while I was reading the script. So it's like, you have like that reality that suddenly resonates you in a script. So that's another element. When you're going to scout the streets, you still see, a city that's been through riots. and it's 28 later. So it's also kind of like, it's a double trigger on your senses in the research and like feeling of, well, how did it felt? You know what I mean? You actually had it just a few months earlier, from a year before we showed the movie. And the third one is like, I love to go into research. I love to go into period of times that I'm not necessarily aware. I definitely didn't grow up in South Central or in Watts or anything like, for instance, like Tyrese did. That for him, it was like he constantly, controlled like whether it's, this is exactly how it was, or because he was looting in those riots in 92. So I didn't have that experience, so I had to go through his eyes and his experience, like, to validate every decision that I did. But again, you're reading a lot of, material, you're watching a lot of footage. There was a few great documentaries like LA 92 and others that really giving you, beat by beat through the media and through what we've seen in a more streamlined media at that time, you know what I mean? From the streets, there was not cell phones, but like, literally crews that went and risked themselves and filming. And so you can be as authentic to your production design, to your costume, to your cars, to to overall skin tones of people that you're casting, because no, it is not that specific. The people are bland. There's still Latino blend within that community. So, and then you go and cast all your extras from the hood, like, actually from South Central. So it's just like a lot of things that you do, that you're trying to get to what we call the film nugget points, that it feels seamless in a very restrained budget and schedule, obviously.
Awesome. Thank you. That's a beautiful way to close out this interview. Thank you, Ariel, so much. 1992 premieres on August 30th. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too.